Hello, I am Quinny. Welcome to the channel, guys. In this video today, with all the recent transfer activity that's been happening over the last 48 hours, we're going to take a deep dive into AC Milan. In particular, we're going to try and figure out how they're going to line up for next year. AC Milan's a team I've been following on and off pretty much my whole life, you know, and over the last 2 or 3 seasons, with playing so rare and with them just being up at the top end of the table again, actually scoring goals, actually winning matches, they've become much more interesting. At the moment, AC Milan are on track to win their first title in what feels like a lifetime. So they've got a difficult run in. We'll talk about the transfers that they've got. Will they win the title this year? How might they line up next season? At any point in the video, guys, if you laugh, you learn, you like something, whatever, please do like, subscribe, and share, and retweet, and all that good stuff, guys. Stay out of trouble, and let's get stuck into it. If you could hit the subscribe button, I do daily videos on So Rare, everything from hints, tips and tricks all the way through to live streams and tips on cheap players to buy. That will also automatically enter you into my March giveaway. I'm giving away a rare Davy Klaassen, who's a midfielder for Ajax, and 2 limited goalkeepers. If you want to stick around to the end of the video, we'll get into all the giveaway stuff again there. Now, when you think about AC Milan, you're instantly going to be hit with images of legends of the game, all-time greats, games you watched growing up in Champions League and whatever else it might be. But AC Milan have not been recognisable in that sense for, like I said in the intro, what feels like a lifetime or so. So with the current setup of AC Milan, we need to have a look first of all at who the architect is, who's actually building the squad, before we can start to have a look at, you know, number one, can they actually get over the line and win this year? How will they line up next year? What other transfers might they be looking at? And that kind of responsibility lies at the door of 2 people. Stefano Pioli, the head coach, the manager, and Pioli Maldini, the man, the myth, the legend that is the best left back, the best centre back, whatever you want to think of him as, the best defender I've ever seen play. And you know, AC Milan legend, the family dynasty continues with Daniele Maldini this year. Now, Pioli and Maldini both came into the club in 2019, at which point the team was an absolute mess. You guys will probably remember the transfer windows that they went through, where they were just buying like lots of players from around Europe, lots of like 6 out of 10 guys like Ricardo Rodriguez, Hakan Calhanoglu, who eventually did become pretty decent. Spent big money on Pjanic. You know, there was a lot of really failed transfers with a lot of the investments from the owner groups that they had from, like, there's a Chinese consortium, there was an American consortium at one point. It's just been in real disarray. But in 2019, Pioli and Maldini both come in, and Pioli's one of these fabled guys around Serie A. If you actually have a look at his managerial record and whatnot, he's not really achieved too much, but the way he's always had his teams playing, it's very distinctive, and the Italians love it because it's that breed of Catenaccio, you know, like being really strong and rugged defending, but, you know, that kind of modern twist of actually attacking and scoring goals. So it's kind of bringing that football into the 21st century almost. So anyway, since which time the wage bill has decreased from, I've got the numbers here thanks to Sport Bible, is decreased from 142 million euros per year down to 81 million euros per year, which is a 43% decrease, and Maldini is the one that's credited with that activity alone. It's not been plain sailing since these guys have come in. You know, Pioli was on shaky ground about a year into his tenure with the transfers of like guys like Leao, Tonali, Kessie, Benacer. A lot of these transfers hadn't really paid off. A lot of the Pioli purchases hadn't been working out, and it was actually said in like the January that Pioli was sacked, was going to be leaving at the end of the year, and Ranić was going to be coming in at the end of the season to take over as head coach. But he was going to come in now in the January as technical director, kind of like the reverse of what he's doing at Man United. And Ranić must have been there for about a month or 2. It didn't go too well. Everyone kind of butted heads, and the kind of consensus is that the dressing room kind of revolted, almost like, we don't want this guy in charge. We actually really like Pioli. Let's start really trying to get some results for the guy. And everything just kind of clicked and went on from there. But that being said, Ranić's fingerprints is all over the scouting department now in terms of some of the profiles of the guys that they have been bringing in, and we'll come to that as we dive into the video. But it's just important you know that Maldini is the technical director. He's the guy, and we all know AC Milan is what's in his blood, and Pioli, this kind of modern Catenaccio that can attack style manager. These are the guys that are building this team for next year and that are trying to get AC Milan over the line this year for the Scudetto. So we'll start with the big news from yesterday. Kessie is out. He is leaving on a free deal to move to Barcelona, and you know, we'll be covering that on the channel in terms of the implications of that to the Barca team, Xavi's dynasty, all that kind of stuff. but also that they've signed Divok Origi. He's going to be coming in. Now, that might be a transfer that you might not have a lot of excitement around and thinking, oh, it's a big stellar signing. There is still some other moves that AC Milan could make to reinforce the forward position. At the moment, when we do look at the team, you know, the first thing everyone looks at is the strikers, and it's between Ibrahimovic, Rebic, kinda, and Giroud, with who's going to be playing up there. And, you know, the profile, the age, everything that those guys offer has a lot of negatives and a lot of depreciation associated with it. But Origi definitely not. Origi's definitely in the same kind of mould as these guys. Is under 30 still, is pretty mobile, and has been competing at the highest level. Fair enough in little spells, but for all of his career, even when he went on loan, forget what it was in France, was it maybe Lille was where he broke through after getting his Belgium breakthrough, and then he did pretty well at Dortmund. I think his goals per minute wasn't terrible, certainly. And obviously at Liverpool, the famed Champions League goals, etc. So he's somebody who's going to be coming in with a lot to prove. And when you look at the makeup of some of this team already, those fingerprints of having something to prove is here. And as we've seen quite famously with Leicester and a few other teams across Europe over recent times, having that kind of bit between the teeth, that self-motivation of moving your own career on, establishing your reputation in the game, is a really powerful motivator. And that, along with the right environment, the right tactics, the right coach, etc., can be a recipe for great things. The other transfers that are kind of bubbling around now with AC Milan in particular, whenever I've been speaking to Milan fans, is Berardi. Berardi is the big piece that they see that they really need to click into next gear. And the words to me, to direct quote 3 AC Milan fans that I've been talking to, is to the consensus of, if we get Berardi, we don't really care if we sign anybody else, because that's just how important they see him. Berardi at Sassuolo has been one of the best players in Serie A for the last couple of seasons, has made a bit of a reputation for himself, and at the age of, I think he's about 27 or something at this point, he's a bit more of a known quantity of what you're going to be getting, especially domestically for AC Milan, in terms of attacking output, goal contributions, assists. The other one that's been heavily touted has been Renato Sanchez. Now, Renato Sanchez in, Kessie out, has been on the wall for a little while. Seeing Kessie now confirmed to be going to Barca is the first kind of domino to drop on that. But Renato Sanchez has had another injury. And my heart goes out to the guy, you know, he just doesn't seem to be able to catch a break. I think he would fit really well into this team. But the consensus again is that he's played his last game for Lille. The injury kind of ends his domestic campaign. I think he is out of contract in the summer, or thereabouts, where Lille do need to shift him. It's pretty much, he needs to leave Lille this summer for all involved. And as long as he still passes the medical, I suppose he probably will end up in AC Milan. But do AC Milan now maybe have a contingency plan if Renato Sanchez is deemed or seen to be damaged goods? They definitely need to fill that midfield hole. And that, along with this Berardi position, you know, the kind of right forward to complement Leao on the left, are two of the biggest question marks over the starting lineup for next year, you know, with the midfield position, of course. So let's have a look at the actual team. How have they been actually lining up this season? Who's been the key players in the team, and who's been standing out the most? For this, we're going to be looking at SoRare Data, which is one of the best aggregate websites in the world for looking at football statistics, and we've just had some lovely updates to the team pages, very aesthetically pleasing. All the data's there. You can do all sorts of different stuff. So if you haven't tried this out yet, I highly, highly recommend it. So this is the team that played Cagliari, and in my opinion, very strong to the best, very close to the best 11 that they can possibly field. Zoom in a little bit so you guys can see it a bit clearer. So Mike Mignan, okay. Yeah, I think that's as close as we can get it. So, Mike Mignan. Now, to be honest with you, for me, Magic Mike is the most underrated top-flight goalkeeper around the now. In my him and maybe David Soraya. I'm a wee bit biased on that one, but Mike Mignan is honestly, like, I watched him at Lyon last year, and I was definitely impressed. I thought between him and like Lafont, who's seen as the other kind of young up-and-coming French goalkeeper, I thought this guy is head and shoulders above that kind of guy. And anyway, with Donnarumma leaving, I think the main thing a lot of people thought was, oh, that's the best goalkeeper AC Milan could possibly get. He's homegrown. He will be legendary. He kind of is a bit of a cult hero already in European scouting circles and whatever. But Mike Mignan has blown expectations away. I think he definitely has 1 assist. He might have 2, and he's had he's had an amazing season in the net. He's definitely saved them points this year, similar to like you'd expect from Donnarumma. And when you've got a goalkeeper that can make a conscious contribution to positive results and gaining points, then they're worth their weight in gold. By the World Cup, I would not be surprised to see Magic Mike be the France #1 goalkeeper. Now, this back four, I think, is the back four for the foreseeable future for AC Milan, failing any transfers. So Fikayo Tomori, Pierre Kalulu have both been revolutionary, wonder kid-esque centre-back performances from them this year. Romagnoli, Simon Kjaer, there is still some veterans around there, and there probably will be some rotation and some minute management throughout, the rest of this season and into next year, I suppose. But these two guys, 1,000,000% is the AC Milan centre-back partnership. Failing transfer or injury for the foreseeable future, in my point of view. Now, David Calabria is somebody who I have often kind of poo-pooed, if you like, or thought, oh yeah, Milan need to upgrade it right back. This is currently showing him at left back. It's just because So Rare Data does it by defence, midfield, and whatever. Can have a look at formations. This is a lot of fun to do this as well. So we can even do this, bang. And then, oh yes, this kind of sorts it out. So Calabria at right back. So he's one of these guys. But again, chatting to AC Milan fans, he is like I'm a Celtic fan, so this Calabria is like their Ralston. And I'm trying to think if there's another example at some other clubs, but like, I don't know, maybe Dan Burn at Newcastle, or I don't know. Like, the local guy bleeds the club. He's good enough. The fans love him. I think he wears the captain's armband on often enough occasions. So I don't really think he will be replaced. They might bring somebody else in for variety and competition. We've seen Florenzi there now. He's on loan from Roma or PSG. I think maybe they've bought him. I don't know. But Florenzi is a backup, certainly. But there might be another right back comes into the picture, but I think Calabria, he's not going to leave AC Milan. I don't think they're going to drop him. It's that kind of Ambrosini vibe, where Ambrosini was like a world-class player, don't get me wrong, but he was never like on the level of Gattuso, Pirlo, Seedorf, whatever, but he was always there because he bled the club and he could do the job when required. And I think Calabria is very much of that kind of ilk. And I hate that word, ilk. And Theo Hernandez, for me, is in the top 5, top 3 best left-backs in the world. Plug and play. Now, the midfield is where it gets interesting. This is the best midfield three that AC Milan can currently play, and in the manager's opinion, in the fans' opinion, I don't think you're going to get much deviation from this, but Benacer and Tonali is like the base if we're doing 4-2-3-1 or if we're doing 4-3-3, which they've played much less of this year. But yeah, this kind of base here. And in the number 10 spot, this is ideally where they want Kessie. They like Kessie doing this kind of John McGinn, Renato Sanchez, Frank Kessie job of that forward defensive midfielder who is goal dangerous as well. So Kessie will be bringing that to Barcelona. Do they want another type of guy like him, like Renato Sanchez, or maybe even John McGinn? Maybe AC Milan go and sign John McGinn. How amazing would that be? On the left, Leao is definitely the preferred choice. And he's really starting to kick on and show his potential. Junior Messias has had an unexpected breakout year this year, and he's done really well. So between him and Alexis Salamakers, I think you could get by pretty well, but you can see why the AC Milan fans want Berardi in there, because him on the right, whoever you want to put in the middle here instead of Kessie, and then Leao on the left is formidable on all levels of competition, where you're talking about Europe or domestically in Serie A. And then here we're looking at Origi. Doubtfully Giroud hangs about any longer, to be honest with you, especially if he wins a Scudetto at AC Milan. I could see him just leaving, because then at that point, guys, Olivier Giroud will have, he won the Premier League with Chelsea, didn't he? Won the Prem with Chelsea, won Ligue 1 with Montpellier, you might have forgot that, won a bunch of FA Cups with Arsenal, as we know, and if it wins the Scudetto with AC Milan, or Scudetto, sorry, Olivier Giroud has got a roll of honour that is, and he's like France top goal scorer and stuff, World Cup, so Giroud is like very close to getting like a legendary roll of honour. Anyway, I think that might be enough for Giroud, and he might move on from there. So we'll have Ibra. He's signed on for next year, I'm pretty sure, along with Origi. That might be those two forward options. And then the other alternative that they maybe have to come to with this as well is Belotti. Now, Belotti has been linked to go to Toronto along with Insigne, and Domenico Crescito has also been signed to go to Toronto in MLS. But Belotti, like, for me, like, they've just signed Origi, and I think they must have signed Origi saying you're going to be the starter, because why would Origi leave Liverpool being Origi to do the Origi job at AC Milan? It doesn't make any sense. So I don't think they'll go for Belotti, but for me, it's a surprise that they haven't, because by all accounts, he is also an AC Milan fan. He's been playing in Serie A. He's got caps for the national team, and he would fit this kind of mould. AC Milan in the division are the best in the division for one-on-one dribbles, for touches in the box, for smart passes, which is those passes between the lines that we all love to see when we're watching football, and any kind of ball progression, whether it be passes or runs. And when it comes to the European stage, for those one-on-one dribbles and those touches in the box, they're still top 5, a top 10 club. So it's all about them building up from the back, with the guys like Tamori, like Kalulu, using the pace of the fullbacks. Calabria goes up and uses good positions to build the possession up. Theo Hernandez is bombing on and really counter-attacking and driving. And with all those other pieces in midfield and in the forward positions that we've been speaking about, they've got a great makeup there for somebody like a Belotti to go into. I think, you know, there were maybe I think Vlahovic maybe happened one season too soon for him, because I think with Vlahovic's idol being Ibrahimovic, that could have been a wee bit of magic, but he's went to Juventus, and that is what it is. So when it comes to the actual run-in, AC Milan have probably, in my opinion, one of the toughest run-ins, okay, because it's just got a lot of high-caliber opposition in it, home and away. So they've got a Coppa Italia semi-final, potentially a final to throw into the mix here, but of their remaining 8 games, Bologna at home, Torino away, Genoa at home, the next 3 should be relatively elementary, but they did recently drop points with Salernitana drawing 2 each, so that's not maybe as easy as it maybe looks on the face of it. Then you've got Lazio, Fiorentina, who if Fiorentina progress past their Coppa Italia semi-final also, this might be a prelude to the final, and it might have some different connotations of players resting, some tactical kind of chess kind of going on between the two managers and whatever, so that could be tricky-wicky. Verona away, Verona are one of the most adventurous attacking teams in European football at the moment, so going away to Verona is not a foregone conclusion. Same thing with hosting Atalanta, and in last game of the season away to Sassuolo won't be easy, so you would expect them to collect enough points with the 3-point cushion they currently have to get themselves over the line. But what is going to be vitally important is Napoli's next 3 games. So Napoli's next 3 games are all basically cup finals. They're away to Atalanta, at home to Fiorentina, and again, Fiorentina have their cup semi-final around this kind of time, so they'll be having to manage around that. And then at home to Roma. If they can get maximum points out those 3 games, after that, Napoli's run in, they can get super behind that. Napoli, as much as I'm talking about, it feels like a lifetime since AC Milan have won a Scudetto, and I'd love to see the Rossoneri do it. For me, I think Napoli have earned a Scudetto over the last 8 years, and they've just been so unlucky. So I wouldn't really mind if Napoli was to go on. Just realised how zoomed out those fixtures are, sorry guys. To go on and actually clinch it, but that wouldn't really disappoint me too much. And I think if Napoli can win the next 3 games, they might be in pole position actually to go on and achieve that. For Inter Milan, their next game is at home to Juventus. It might be away in fact, but they've got Juventus in their next match. They're away to Juventus. That's right after the international break. That is a 6-pointer for both teams involved. Then they've got Verona. They've also got Roma to play. They've got that semi-final that we've mentioned a few times. Otherwise, their run-in does look fairly elementary. But if they do drop points to Juventus, then Inter Milan are out of it. You know, if they beat Juventus, then they're still in amongst it and things can happen. Juventus are out of the title race in my opinion, right? But if they did beat Inter Milan, then, you know, stranger things have happened. They do have a cup semi-final. They're probably going to chase down the cup. That's going to be the Vlahovic derby. I don't even know if Vlahovic can play in the cup, in fact. But they've got Lazio end of season. They've got Fiorentina again end of season. But otherwise, they should be winning every game. And if the other teams, because the other teams, as we've just looked at, their running isn't that straightforward. If Juventus do beat Inter Milan, it's a big if, and some other things happen, maybe we could get a real big shock. I don't think we will, but it's not impossible. But I don't think it will happen. Thanks very much, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this. Let me know what your thoughts are on AC Milan's run into the Scudetto, or how they're going to shape up next season. Is there somebody that's been linked to in the transfer market that we've not spoke about that you think is important? Let me know in the comment section down below. Stay tuned to the channel for more content like this. Like, subscribe, share, retweet, all that good stuff, guys. Let's get into all the giveaway stuff before I let you go. I'm still doing monthly giveaways and I'm making it easier to enter. If you want to be entered to win this month's prize or any future giveaways here at the channel, all the same rules will always apply. Hit the subscribe button, you need to be a subscriber to enter, then leave a comment down below. Each month, a random comment from a random video will be selected as the winner, so the more videos you leave a comment on, the better the chance you've got of winning any of my giveaways. All the winners are announced at the end of videos the same way as we're doing here. The best way to keep up with the content has always been to hit the notification bell with all notifications turned on. As always, guys, if you've enjoyed the video today, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button. On screen now is some other stuff that I've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. Stay out of trouble, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.